Okay, this is Charles Blair, the mad scientist, with
Agent Corey Banks, Realtor 007.
We're going to basically give you guys the good, the bad, and ugly about the dichotomy that you have in real estate investing in Baltimore. But first and foremost, don't forget, make sure you hit that like, make sure you leave a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Right now, we're currently at Blair, Addison in East Baltimore. Now, what I really like about investing in this community is the fact that you have all three matrices can be found in this one community: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, what I mean by that is this: you can have areas where there's board ups, you can have areas where there's crime, and you can also have areas where there's pristine homeowner neighborhoods. So that's all can be found in this one community. And I'm going to show you exactly what we're looking at and how that type of diversity really makes Baltimore such a great place for you to invest in. This neighborhood we're going to right now is going to be indicative of what we call the ugly. And what I mean by ugly, I'm talking about the different dysfunction between boarded up houses and houses in a community where when you go across the street, you have a $10,000 valuation, and then you go 2 blocks away, you have a $100,000 valuation. This is going to be a perfect example of that. Now take a look at this area here. All of this. When people see this, they think in terms of blight. They think in terms of the slums. They think in terms of the worst of Baltimore. However, when I see it, I see opportunity. I see ways in which I can better my community. I see ways in which I can bring up this neighborhood. Valuation in this area is literally in the teens or less. And what I mean by that, you're talking about being able to get a property for $3,000, $5,000, $7,000. Now, the key here is understanding that if you're first in the community, it may take a while for that valuation to get there. But you know, early bird catches the worm. So there is opportunity when you're dealing with what we would call the ugly areas of Baltimore. Okay, we're still in East Baltimore right now. As a matter of fact, we're on North and Chester. And a lot of you hear me talking about when I grew up in the projects, but what you haven't heard is where I came to when we left the projects. And that's where we're at right now. We're off of North and Chester Street. We're gonna make a left right here on Chester Street. And I'm gonna show you exactly what has happened to this neighborhood 20 plus years later. It looks like a ghost town. These all was thriving businesses and homeowners. As a matter of fact, this first house on the corner is where the mad scientist gained his wings at, 1724 North Chester Street. That was the property that my mom's, who got it from Housing Authority, because at that time, welfare. And Housing Authority owned that property at 1724. And like I said, that was years ago when we lived here in this property, 1724 North Chester Street.
I've been waiting all night. Watch you blow a mile. Please don't come over, 'cause you're not sober. Yeah, now you know that ain't right. If your dude knew you was coming over, that would be a problem. Yeah. If our friends knew undercover loving, they would try to solve it, yeah.
Now this area right here, we call this area a tale of three cities. And here's what I mean by that. Across the street, you have a golf course, but you also have this residential area right here. And what makes this so much, when I say a tale of three cities, is the fact that where we just came from, off of Chester Street, all of this is in zip code 21213. And 21213 is an indicative of, like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That part of 21213, you literally could get houses for $5,000. This part of 21213, you're looking at valuations of $70,000 upward to $90,000 up in this 3-block radius going in this direction. Now, when you go across the other side of 21213, you have value up to $130,000 all the way up to $150,000 on townhouses, as well as even as high as $200,000 on detached houses. That's what I mean by a tale of three cities. In Baltimore, it is so cognizant that you as that investor have to understand the valuation of comps. And let's go over what I could call the valuation of comps. You're looking at three main factors. Number one, you're looking at exactly comparing apples to apples, because if you have a property that's a rancher, you need to compare it to a rancher. If you have a townhouse or a row house, you need to compare it to another townhouse or a row house. If he has a property that is a split level, you need to compare it to another split level. So that's a key factor when you're doing real estate investing, comparing apples to apples. Remember, it's all about the numbers that count. Number two, the square footage. Your square footage should be as close to that subject property that you're looking at based on the properties that you want to buy. And what I mean by as close, I'm trying to get somewhere around 10 to 15% within the distance of my subject property that my square footage should be. Most neighborhoods, if you live across the street from a golf course, you got high value. That's not the case here. These valuation, like I mentioned here, is anywhere from 70 to 90,000, 120 at the most. Now, this area right here is what I like to call the good. And why do I call it the good? Your valuation on this side of the town, and then remember, we are still at 21213 zip code. Your valuation here is somewhere around 150, as high as $180,000. Remember, I just gave you three different price points: the good, the bad, and the ugly. The ugly, $5,000. The bad, $70,000 to $90,000. The good, we're talking about $150 all the way up to $180,000. That's what we have in these different valuations in this one tale of three cities inside of Baltimore. Look at this neighborhood. This is any bread and butter neighborhood community that you would have no problem letting your family live in. And remember, I mentioned in most areas where you have a golf course, the valuation of houses in front of that golf course is skyrocketed above the houses that's behind it. You saw what happened in the last neighborhood we went into. And it's all inside of Bel Air Edison. That's why I said you have to understand the valuations. We talked about knowing your comps, having an investor-friendly agent. Like who?
Agent Corey Banks.
Exactly. So get these things in mind if you are that investor and you want to tackle the Baltimore city market. There's huge opportunities. Don't get me wrong. Don't go into the market trying to buy the house. Like I mentioned before in several videos, forget about trying to buy the house. Always think about trying to solve the problem. If you take that as your mindset as an investor, you can do well. This is Charles Blair, the Mad Scientist, with
Agent Corey Banks, Realtor 007.
and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
I've been waiting all night. Watch you blow a mile. Please don't come over, 'cause you're not sober. Yeah, now you know that ain't right. If you do